Join me, Joe Spatterford, and Brian Roberts, the director of this film, into the wonderful world of art that went behind the making of the film.
So that's your Santa voice?
It's absolutely my real voice. My Santa voice sounds a little like this, and I'm not.
You should have auditioned for Nicholas. So we had a new character we needed to design for this show, Nicholas.
A long time ago, we actually started playing around with different ideas for new characters, both young and old. And then it actually came around to needing a new character for this particular show and actually wanting to introduce a new character into the Veggietale franchise that had a real strong appeal.
Yeah, and when we were designing him, for me, the critical thing was that design-wise, that he feel like he'd kind of been around Veggietales forever. I didn't want to go with anything really novel or unique as far as his style, so I even like his hair is actually Bob's hair, just to make him feel like he's an old time VeggieTales character. And I think in the end we made a really appealing little pepper.
The funny thing is, a lot of times when you design something, you go through about I don't know, just lots and lots of designs,
dozens.
And ironically, this little guy here was one of Brian's first little sketches. And
yeah, we kind of nailed him fairly quickly.
Yeah, we just kind of came back to it. I mean, we had done a lot of drawings, but we always came back to that one. And then coloring it was fun too. Just go to your grocery store and look at peppers, and that's generally how we get the color of our characters.
From going to the grocery store, or the farmer's market.
Okay, so this is Nicky in his full disguise costume. Now, we didn't want to go straight out Santa Claus, even though you get the entire flavor of Santa Claus. We wanted to have fun with it a little bit. On his head is a sock, and and basically, he's got the fake wig on and everything like that. But
wig.
Beard. The fake beard on his chin.
And his cloak is actually, his coat is actually his dad's cloak that you see early on when the dad leaves to help the lady in the middle of the night. But on dad it's a cloak, but since Nicky's small, it's so big it like wraps around him and it kind of makes him look a little tubby. And I thought that was a nice touch.
Fun character. You ever been in a situation where you had fish all just inside your clothes?
Yes, every weekend.
Oh gosh, I gotta say it's a very squirmy feeling, and I would not put Lund through this again. He almost walked off the set complaining that. Just complaining about how slimy he was afterwards. And,
he doesn't look happy there.
No, he's really not. That's actually a shot that we took right after he finished his scene.
I thought this was concept art that we created.
No, this is actually a photograph.
Oh, I always get them confused.
Yeah, they look very similar. But yeah, he was not happy. It was not in his contract, no.
So with Gustav, we had to create a new veggie bad guy because actually originally Nicky the Pepper, or the role of Nicholas, was going to be played by Mr. Nezzer. So we needed a bad guy. We couldn't use Mr. Nezzer, so we created this new bad guy, Gustav. And then we ended up giving the role of, we created a new vegetable for Nicholas, but we still had this great bad guy design. And we're like, well, let's just keep using him. We had a great voice in Alan Lee. And so we just I wanted to create this kind of combination of Burgermeister Meisterburger from Here Comes Santa Claus and Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life, and make them Greek. So that's who we ended up with for Gustav. So here we see Gustav as he was dressed in the Main Street sections when he was interacting with Junior and Dad Carrot. That was story-wise, that was kind of a late addition. The addition of the dad with the truck, and then Gustav has to fix it, and we have this It's a Wonderful Life moment at the end. But I thought it would be fun to bring Gustav out of the Greek sections and put him on Main Street as a way to kind of help bookend the story and also give him a chance for redemption when he decides to fix the truck at the end. But I love him in this costume. I think it's a funny, fun costume.
Junior's always a fun character to design. He's always a challenge as well too, because
it's got that huge nugget.
Yeah, it's got a large nugget on this lot. But also, you can't really put a lot of clothes on him sometimes, and it's a real trick. So in this case, luckily he's got a big head, and we were able to put a nice size hat on him. Works out in the wintertime, and we had a lot of fun playing around with different designs for what the cute little hat that his mom could have bought him at the store or sewn herself. And or knit herself, and it was good. It was good. We went through snowflakes, and we went through just all different types of reindeer, and we settled on this one.
It's great. Larry and his ear flap hat makes me laugh.
Yeah. Larry's all ready for Alaska. Only I would suggest that Larry wears a shirt of some kind to further block the wind damage, but hey,
well, that was actually a decision we made early on, was that even though it was winter, I didn't want to make everybody feel like they had to be dressed up in like 20 layers with really complicated costumes. So we kind of decided that it would be okay for a character like to just have a scarf on or to just have a jacket, that they didn't need 20 layers of stuff to make them, to costume them.
Yeah, if you go back and you look at the old Veggietales episodes that we had done, the Toy That Saves Christmas, they're not all bundled up with all sorts of stuff.
Exactly.
You can get the idea across, but yeah, this is a character that turned out nicely, and I believe Chuck Vollmer designed him, and Chuck actually wears stuff like this.
This was a challenge, trying to put a nun's habit on Petunia, because like Junior, she has an enormous head. So we actually cheated the whole thing and kind of shrunk the back of her head so that it didn't take up half the screen.
But I was brought up in a Catholic school, and I had nuns all around me, so I was well versed in how to draw a nun.
So a while back, Mike pitched this silly song called Donuts for Benny, and it wasn't originally a Christmas song, and the central character was this dog named Benny. And whenever we have an idea like that, we kind of go, well, we can't do that because we can't do a dog. But we liked the song so much, we decided it was worth trying to go for this dog. And Tim Hodge actually designed this for us. He also did the storyboards for the sequence. And he turned out really great. You haven't seen the final animation on him, but it turned out to be a really fun little character, and the great voice actually done by Mike Naraki and Kevin Gamble, our producer. They took turns voicing him.
Yeah, the first time I heard Donuts for Benny was back in 2007, and it was just a little brief pitch. It was more of like a bluesy type of song, and yeah, it evolved. This was the first image that I had done of Saint Nick. At the time, Chris Wall was asking us for a simpler look for Veggietales. And so, I was playing around with like simpler looking, looking clouds and mountains in the background that just had, blobs of snow on it and everything. And at that time, like Brian had mentioned earlier, Nezer was the Saint Nicholas character, and the story also took place in Turkey, as it still does, but
Greece.
But it was also Turkey too.
Greece.
Okay, and
it's complicated.
Yeah, the whole Saint Nicholas story is very complicated. If you look at the history of Saint Nicholas, it's a very difficult project to actually formulate and actually figure, because there's a lot of myths around Saint Nicholas, and there's.
But art-wise, what was key about this image is it began to inform how we might take a story set in Greece that really wasn't very Christmassy and make it feel Christmassy, because it's Greek and yet it's snowy, and he's kind of bundled up in this costume that kind of looks Santa-ish. So this to me was probably the key piece of early art that we created, where we said, yeah, we can make this feel like Christmas, even though the story itself had very little to do with Christmas. This image was a huge influence on me storytelling wise. This was another early piece of development art. We knew that we wanted, again, to help with the Christmassy feel of everything, we wanted to bookend the story of Nicholas with this kind of traditional Main Street Christmassy setting. And Chuck really jumped on that because he grew up in this Main Street community in Ohio called Bryan, Ohio. And so quite a bit of the look of this town is actually based on his hometown. And then,
he knew where everything was. You know, I mean, yes, you'd ask Chuck, what's this store? He'd say, oh, that's that's the store me and my buddies used to go to and everything.
Yeah, that's McPherson's Dry Goods. Or
yeah, dry goods. He lived in the Old West.
And this was kind of as the town was evolving, we got a little more specific with the areas that we needed, and what I developed was this kind of central park area in the middle of the intersection of the main town, where we would have this tree and this nativity, but mainly it just gave us acting room for everybody to kind of hang out as they were telling this story. Because if we just kept everybody on the sidewalks the whole time, it would have ended up kind of really claustrophobic. So we did this kind of traffic circle in the middle of town. I think
it's pretty common for little towns too.
It is, although one of the big changes we made is that the traffic only goes around like 3 sides of it, and then this 4th side that you see here, there's like a sidewalk that connects the circle to the other sidewalk, which we needed for acting space. But I think a traffic engineer would look at that and think it was crazy.
So traffic engineers out there, we're sorry.
We're sorry. So do you like this image, Joe?
This is actually one of my favorite images, Brian. You know, this was an image that Chuck Vollmer had done, and something like this is only something you can pull out of your imagination that you remember. This is a small town. It's on the outskirts of the city, and it's just lovely, lovely little small house that Bob and Larry, kind of live in, or maybe they're neighbors to one another, and and it's just got that great Christmassy feeling. You don't have to have much of anything other than just this nice lighting, maybe a few lights on the window and snow. Everybody wants that, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas kind of thing, and it was just fresh snow on the pavement and on the grass and on the trees, and it was just a wonderful first image. It's very inspiring. It sets the tone for, hey, this is a Christmas film. And I got to give kudos to my buddy Chuck, because on this one, this one really captured my imagination. And when you're working on something that Christmas isn't quite here yet, you tend to look for stuff that inspires you to get you back into the mindset of Christmas. This was Chuck's first design for the town, and he wanted to have a design that looked like the sled was going down the town. And it actually,
well, that was a storytelling thing that I pushed for really early on, was that I really wanted to have this hill in the front of town that we could actually go down to take us from this wide shot down into the town itself. Because I feel like sometimes we focus like on the center of a set that we're designing, and then the rest of it is just painted, and so we can never push out to the edges of it and carry action out there. So we designed this set to actually have this modeled hill in the foreground that we could follow the kids down the hill. And I love this shot. It turned out beautiful.
And it's a really cool thing too, because a lot of kids out there, we know you all like sledding. And
if you live in snowy places.
If you live in snowy places, and sometimes if you don't live in snowy places, you find ways of sledding down things. So
I used to slide down grass hills on cardboard.
That's a way to do it, and a way to hurt yourself, so watch out. All right, so thanks a lot, everybody, for showing up, and ho, 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 Merry
Christmas!
And Happy New Year.